Live. It says we're live, but let me know if you can see or hear. So we can start with this deep dive. So, hello everyone in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. And let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So the editor is opening. Okay. So if I press play, this should work. Yeah, perfect. So we will start very, very soon. First, before we're starting, I really would like to know any type of questions you could have about this little project that I make. So later on, I can cover while I'm explaining what exactly did I did. I mean, I can't call it a tutorial. It's more like a breakdown of what I did to achieve the game, right? So in that breakdown, it's really helpful if you tell me if you have some points of interest about the development. Maybe you want to know more about the AI. Maybe you want to know more about the blueprints, the components, the level. I don't know. Whatever you would like to know about. That's why we're here. And meanwhile, I'm going to be opening a little. I only want the GIFs. Wait a minute. Is this it? I believe this is it. Ah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I'll share this. Okay. Everything working okay? Okay, that the ice goes in the summer. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, regarding the assets, let's remember that the main topic of the project was creating a game with the free marketplace asset. So I have not created any of these assets, and I'm more of a programmer. So this is more of a breakdown on how to put everything together and get a game out of it without expending too much, right? Because these are the free assets for October. You can get them right now if you go to the Epic Games launcher, go to the marketplace, if this loads correctly. And marketplace. Oh, you can click here also. It's the feature free content, free from the month. And also the level which I'm using is in free permanent. Was it permanently free? I believe so. Yeah, because if you just open it, you won't see it. But if you go to the permanently free, this is the one that I was using for the map in the game, the Fantastic Village Pack. So that's how you can get it. It's as easy as just clicking on an asset. Well, and I need to update, but if you didn't have it, you can just get it for free, and then you will have it in your library. And then, well, you can add it. I believe I show a little bit of that in the main video, right? Add to projects, you select your project, that's it. If you don't find your project, then you can force it by showing all projects, and it will show you even if the version is not supported. So yeah, let's start now. Let me see if there is another question. Would it make grass conditions simulate wind? Nothing was really satisfying. And how can you share the finished game for the okay? Yeah, so I'll be saving the questions every almost 50 minutes. I'll be reading the chat just because, well, it is easy to lose focus, and the average is 15 minutes, so that's what I'll be doing. Oh, and I didn't activate this, so I can gesticulate my... There it is. Yeah. So let's start. You already know it. If you don't, this project, and I will show it as I explain it, is one of those mini games I'm doing every month with the free from the month assets. So you have a very simple game. You have a menu, the credits, you can quit the game, you can play. You have this start map where you it could be a blank map if you're going to have your menu be full 2D, but it can... Oh, I test my... is there audio? No audio. It seems like my bar is working. Just in case, let me open the stream in my phone. Just in case. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, it can be happening to one person, but just in case. Okay, I do have audio. It's on your end, so my hands are clean. Make sure that you're... Am I muted? No, I can hear me. Make sure that the speakers, I mean, you're using the speakers, or just test it like this. If you can't hear audio, then for sure it's on you. So let's continue. This is a very simple map. You can use a blank map if you want. If your menu will be only 2D, you really don't need this. If you want a little bit of more spiciness in your game, I was just using the map that comes with the pumpkins. Where is the pumpkins? Halloween pumpkins. Here you will see a map, level, and there is a day, which seems like cloudy day, and a night version, which I didn't choose it because it was maybe too red, and I didn't want to modify that much of the lighting. So I already had a map. I only needed to add the camera. Where do I want my camera to start, right? If I press play here, I'm starting wherever. And well, my game mode is not set up in this map, so I'll just use the open asset, which is with Control P for P asset. I don't know why it's P, but it is P. Game menu. No, that's the game mode. It was the main level, main menu. Okay. So now I have it again. Map. Takes a little while with Lumen to get to the right lighting, but it gets there eventually. Okay, so main map. I only needed to create a main menu and show it, right? The way you can show any... And well, just in case, if you don't know how to create menus, UI inside Unreal, it's so easy. You just right click, user interface, widget blueprint, just select the first one, and there you have it. Give it an appropriate name, and then you can play around the interfaces. You can create images. whatever texture I have, crosshair. You can create text. So it's very easy to create interfaces inside Unreal. Now to show them, in the case of the main menu, it's very easy. You just open the level blueprint, which is a normal type of blueprint, but it belongs to the level. So here, I just, in the event begin play, which triggers every time I open, I start playing, you just create the widget. Here's the main menu, and I'll zoom it in a little bit. Create the main menu, and to show it, because this just creates the class and initialize it, to show it, we just add it to the viewport. Here we remove the input from the game. We only want to use the input for the UI. And then we show the mouse cursor. Otherwise, if I just put it on false, I can't see where my mouse is. And if I didn't have this set input mode, then I will be able to float around with a default pawn, which it's not really what I want. So that's why these two nodes are here. Another thing I must mention here, very important to have a player start. Here is my player start. This is where my pawn that I will be using as a camera, which is the default pawn, will be spawned and looking here. I mean, there's already a camera here. I could use that camera, but I just wanted to keep it very simple. Didn't want to modify too much of the code to use that view from the camera. And this level use a game mode specific to it. You can see here that by default, the game mode minigame, game jam, is the one that it's being used in any map that has not override it. How do you set it up? Well, you can set it up here, or you can go to the project settings, maps and modes, and here, default game mode, you select the game mode that you want, which should hold the classes that will define your game, like the pawn class, which is the character that I will be using, the hat class, which is the hat that I will be using, the class that will create that hat. This is it. And if I needed more stuff here, I could put it, but for now I only needed these two. This is part of the gameplay framework. If you don't know that much about the gameplay framework, you should really study on it. Maybe I could create a video about it, but okay. But in this case, I do not want this, because if I press play and I can move around, and let me just remove the word override here. Select none. If I didn't override that game mode, if I press play, I will have my character here and I will have a crosshair in my menu. And that's not what I want. I only want the camera. So I just override it the same way. Select a game mode base class and I choose I created one game main menu, game mode main menu, which is very simple actually. I just create it and leave it as it is. It really doesn't have anything in particular that I want. I only want the camera looking down the pumpkins, and that's pretty much it. You can set it up there. You can go to settings or world settings, and here in game mode override is the same thing, but in this button there's everything, so might as well use it, right? So that's the first part, having a menu. Why did I create this part first? Because at the start of any game, you really don't have a great idea of what you want to make. I only saw the assets here in the, where's the assets? I close them. Perfect. So here in the marketplace, I just saw, what could I create, right? I saw zombies, I saw a village. This didn't fit that much to the theme. I saw that we could spawn stuff very easily. I had pumpkins, monsters, so zombie animations. So I decided, for sure, a zombie shooter could be a good fit. That's the only idea that I had before starting. I put myself a time limit of 2 or 3 days maximum because we were just around. The Unreal Fest was just around the corner. I was preparing stuff to take a trip, so I didn't have that much time. So I treat it just like any game jam where you need to define very fast what you want to do, how can you proceed, and there is a thing in this type of game jams that you will always be needing to do. For example, UI menus. You need to start, you need to end, you need to restart. So that's stuff that I can work on, and while I'm working on it, I can think about a little bit about the gameplay. So that's why I usually create the main menu first, or if I already have one, for sure I will reuse it. And yeah, that's why that was the I'm showing you first this part, the main menu map, the widgets, which actually didn't show the widget, are very simple widgets. UI, main menu, main menu. Here it is, just a text. This is the vertical box. There are buttons inside it. Each button has a padding of 30. And if you want to define the behavior of the buttons, then you can click on one button. And here you have on click, press, release, on clicked. The start changes the input mode. So remember we had it in UI. Now we put it back to game. We hide the show mouse cursor and we open the gameplay level. If I could select the levels, this part would be a little bit more fancy and extendable, so we can select the levels that I need, but in my case it was very simple. I only had one level. This button, which is the credits, you click them and it shows, oh, I made it, and then you click again and again credits. Didn't want to create another UI for that. And here, quit game. Unclicked, we just called quit game. It's very simple to quit the game. You can quit it as normal, you can quit it to the background. Usually quit is more than enough. So that's pretty much it for this part. Now I will read any type of, oh no, that's not the one I wanted to delete. I will read the questions in the chat because I believe 10 minutes has passed. Where did I create this one? Okay, so chat, let me hear you. What's the audio? This I already see. Looking for a long time for a good tutorial on how to make grass collision and simulate wind. This is just a tutorial to show you how I did the video game, the mini game. So I will not be able to cover grass. Also, I'm not an expert on grass. I only know how to just click on the check for the wind, and that's pretty much it. How can you share a finished game with friends? I will cover that at the end. It's a very interesting part of the development. The speakers, audio is fine. Rip to headphones. Oh, was my audio too loud? Sorry if I've blown someone's ears. Will this be live? Will this live be uploaded as a video as well? Yes. Mostly all of our live videos will stay uploaded later. Is it possible for a beginner to make a 3D game using blueprints only? Yes. I mean, of course it's possible. It will take you a long time if you're really starting, but for sure you can make a video game. For your first game, I recommend starting small so you can finish it. Whenever you finish a game, you will feel empowered, like you can do anything, and then you will tackle another project, and then you will realize that you don't know really that much. but it's the process of learning anything really. In this case, Unreal, but it will happen with any type of subject that whenever you are learning more stuff about it, you will realize that you really don't know much about that specific topic. Okay, so I'll show the gameplay now. Play, start. If you have not seen the gameplay for this video, it was a 3-minute video. Come on, man, you can go and watch them. But even if you haven't seen it, I'll show it now. It's very simple. This guy will be chasing you. If it touches you, then it will thank you for playing. You can retry the game, and if you were not looking towards it, it will move your camera towards it. So that's like the main obstacle of the game. You need to be able to defeat that I believe it was called Leech or something, that monster, right? Let me open the level, and I don't want to save that main menu. So this is the main gameplay level. I didn't have time to modify the map. I just got the fantasy, where is it? Fantastic Village Pack, duplicated the map, that's it. I mean, it already had like a lot of roads, so yeah, I didn't really want to. I wanted to polish more the mechanics than just creating the maps, which it's not my forte, but I still enjoy it a lot. Okay, so you press play. I need to defeat that guy. If I want to shoot it, I'm not doing any type of damage, and I will lower my desktop audio just in case that those hits are too loud. Okay, so I can't do damage. So what I need to do is collect the pumpkins that are around the level, which one should be here. And whenever I collect them, the monster will be weaker, and whenever I collect the fourth one, it will be destroyed. Now, the monster is very slow. I wanted to add that as more time passes, then the monster will get faster, but I didn't have the time. What I did is that whenever you are very far from the monster, I'll just keep running forwards. The monster will spawn in front of you, like a little jump scare, and I should have added sound for that, but again, didn't have the time before traveling. So you need to collect the pumpkins, and there will be a lot of zombies in the way. You can shoot the zombies. Oh, and the monster got me. I didn't see it. So you shoot the zombies. They have their death animation. If the zombies attack you, you have health in the type of Call of Duty style, where you get hits and your screen, come on, and your screen starts getting a little bit red. Again, I could have used a texture for that, but it wasn't in the assets. So, and also I can lose by getting hit too many times. So that's pretty much, that's the gameplay. I really don't remember where all the pumpkins were. If I wanted to show you that part, let me see if I can speed run it very quickly. There should be one around here. And well, for the spawning part of the zombies, there was a marketplace asset here that lets you define areas, which is this one if I didn't close it. was very useful. Just needed to read about how does it work, and you can really define. For example, I'll just select this area if I can, and here in the details panel I just need to search for that area. This is the 7th, so it should be, if we start at 0, then should be this one. You can increase the radius, you can change the AI spawn, and the 7th array is this one. The large one was the second one, my bad. AI spawn settings, and you can really randomize the way your zombies are spawning. Also, this had the ability that whenever the AI was too far from you, it will stop rendering it, and if you come towards it, then it will appear. So it was like a little bit of optimization on that part. So that's pretty much the gameplay. Now what I will show you is how did I create it. And I remember at this time I also was asked to create a little I was asked to create a little presentation on how to make games quickly, and it was like a perfect timing because I was creating a game quickly, so I documented that part. The only thing about this is that it's in Spanish, so how to finish a game quickly. I only want the pictures, because this is how you do it. I won't bore you with that. So this just says I just wanted to create a game with the Unreal Engine assets. I gave it a name, Project Dullahan. It's very important to give a cool name to it, because every time you will think about this project, you will be pumped, you will be hyped with the project. If you just call your project, I don't know, project homework, then I mean it's not too enticing, right? So it is a clever psychology trick to make your project sound cool, so you want to work on it. If you create a team, the team can rally behind it, can really feel like, oh yes, we're creating this awesome project called, and insert your cool name. So I decided to make a zombie game, and because you start with a blank project, this is the part that I was mentioning is that to stop being blocked, like when you see a blank paper and you don't know how to start your essay or something, or your drawing, yeah, you can start easy. You can start with a menu. You will always need a menu. You will always need a pause menu also. I believe I didn't include that, but here I'm telling you all about the pickups. And yeah, the first mechanic that I implemented was this part, and you don't really need to read this stuff. It's just the GIF. I only wanted to show you the GIF. The main mechanic is beating this monster, this lich, right? So the way to beat it is collecting the pumpkins. Collect the number of pumpkins that are in the level, and the lich will disintegrate. Now that's a GIF or GIF, whatever you prefer, that I made in a simple map called the test map, where I have been where I was testing all the mechanics that I was adding. Yeah, so it's still working, right? This test map is where I mean it's better to have a controlled environment where you can know exactly what's happening, right? If you have a level created by a environment artist, the collisions may not be working. You will be asking yourself, why does my enemy cannot reach me? You will start questioning your abilities of creating an nav mesh, which is really simple. You just drag and drop a volume and that's it. And it will be because of the collision. So it's better if you just have a very simple level, and there you can test whatever you like. It is better if you have a level for each feature, because between features you can introduce some bugs. But I mean, my game was very simple, so I didn't really want to spend too much time of it. So these are the pumpkins. They are very simple blueprints. I will open one for you. And whenever you create a blueprint, you need to define the components that will make it work. So I needed to pick them up. For pickups, or well, for any type of interactable stuff, whenever you touch them, you need a collision. I did not want to rely on the collision of the mesh, because if you open the mesh with, I'm using Ctrl E, or you can just double click here. If you open the mesh, for each mesh you would need to see the collision. So I'll show simple collision, and this is pretty standard. It's pretty good. Could be a box also, and I won't mind it. But let's say it didn't exist, or some of the meshes have collision and the other ones don't have collision, then yeah, it's a lot of work needing to check every mesh, right? Here I have 5 pumpkins, right? Five pumpkins. Yeah, 7 pumpkins. So clicking 7 times is a lot of hard work. So I did not want to rely on the mesh here, and well, if it does not have a collision, just in case, a little tip, you can create a collision here, add sphere collision. Now you have a simple collision from that. You can also click on the collision and delete it with delete key. And I believe this one was 26 DOP simplified collision. If you need more details on the collision, here you can have the auto convex collision. This panel will open up. You can select the precision you need, and in this case, I don't know how precise that is, but I mean, it's good enough, I believe. You can increase the number of holes, make it a little bit more precise. But as I said before, less complex collision, it's better. And if you're not relying on the collision for these pumpkins, you can just delete the collision and be done with it. But I'll just return it to whatever it was. Okay, so pumpkins. We need to define the components. I already know that I needed a collision, so I created a sphere collisions. You can add components here, very simple. Search what you need, sphere collision. You don't know that the sphere collision exists, just type collision, and you will find, oh, and that's solution, that's collision. You have box collisions, gaps collisions, sphere collisions. I needed this collision to only be able to overlap the player. So by clicking the collision, you will have the details panel here, and you can go to the collision settings, and here collision presets. There are a lot. I only wanted to overlap the pawn. The pawn is a class that can receive inputs, and that's the class where the character is based from. So if you see a character class, the character is also pawn. If you see a pawn class, is just like a character, but it does not have the behavior of a character. But you can send them inputs. Usually it's done for vehicles, for stuff that are not bipeds, or stuff that cannot move around, right? Maybe you can just rotate, or you can fly around, then for sure use the pawn. And yeah, just to get everything out of the way, anything that I can drag and drop to my level in Unreal is called an actor. A pawn is a type of actor that can receive inputs, and a character is a type of pawn that can move, that have this biped movement. For example, this is a character. It will come already with a capsule collision, and it will come with a movement component that it's very easy to use, right? So again, this is just an actor. You can see there is a parent class here, but if I open the parent class, you can see that the parent class of this one is just an actor. Here it is. So now, and this is where I started, right? With just a pickup. I really didn't know if I wanted pumpkins and something else, maybe to boost the health. I didn't know if I was going to have a health bar. I just decided later on that my health was really like Call of Duty, where you just have a number of hits and then you regenerate. So I defined the pickup collision. I also needed a mesh, a static mesh that will represent the pumpkin. And from this, I created, and where's my blueprint? I created this child class. So if I needed more pickups, then I would just need to just right click on it, create child blueprint class. I just open the class and modify the collision, modify the mesh. Maybe this mesh will be a cylinder, and I would just need to increase the sphere radius, and now I have a new type of pickup. See, it is working correctly, very simple to implement. You just need a base pickup class where you are defining the behavior, which that's the part that I need to show right now. Pickup collision, we already defined the overlap only pawn collision presets, but if we go further down, we have the events that this collision can have, which is the component begin overlap that I want to do something with whenever this collision overlaps with something else, which because of my settings of overlapping only pawns will only trigger when a pawn overlaps it. Now you can just click here, or you can here in the components panel right click it, add an event, and here you can create events or view existing events, which is the begin overlap. This one is very simple. I'm just checking if the pawn that has overlapped this pickup is my player pawn. If I don't do this, if my leech overlaps the pickup, and I can just remove it, this will be just true. Compile it. I'll be a little bit further. So if my leech touches that and nothing happened, picked up, actor that picked up. Why didn't it do anything? Oh, the leech doesn't have collision on their capsule. It needs to be this not it. It needs to be the come on, let me show it. Play from here. Okay, zombie. Yes, of course, I will have problems showing them. I'll just move this. And that's why you don't mix mechanics. Come on, zombie. Yeah, now the zombie got it. So I do need to check that I'm colliding with the character. There are a lot of ways of doing this. I'm just using the most straightforward. You can also use tags here. Other actor, get tag. Components by tag, no. Tags, where are they? Get tags, and here just ask if it contains an item, and you search, oh, is this the main character? And if in your main character, which I don't know if I call it main character, how did I call it? Is game mode pound first person character. Of course I didn't modify it that much. Then here you can search for the tags. Tags, use add one, main character. Now these are not gameplay tags, these are just the tags that any actor has. These are the actor tags. So it's just text. So you can also could where is my pickup? This is not my pickup. This pickup. You can also check it like this if you do not want to get the player pound. This player index is only a problem if you are doing a local multiplayer type of game. Online multiplayer, this will be always be 0, and a single player, this also will always be 0 and return you the correct value. But if 4 players are playing the same machine, then 0 is the first player, 1 is the second player, and so on and so forth. So that's another way to check this. And whenever we check that it's the correct one, I just created a new event. I'm calling that event custom event, very simple to create, just custom event, and give it whatever you name, the name that you need. In this case is on picked up, and this just destroys the actor. Now, why did I do it like this and not like this? Because this will be a parent class, and I want, like I said, to inherit this and create very easily new child. But every child blueprint will want to have its own implementation about what will happen whenever you pick that blueprint up. So in that case, in specific, you can functions override, and here you will find the event that we created, which is on picked up. This is calling the parent code, which is the on destroy, well, just the destroy part. But we want to do something before we destroy this, so we could just print string. No, excuse me. We can just do a sequence, and we will destroy this after we do something. Maybe I want to quit the game whenever I pick this up. I'll just put quit game, and then we will destroy it, but this will quit the game, so I'll just print a string, right? Hello, it's more than enough. So if I press play and I pick up this, now it says hello and it still gets destroyed. If this is not called, then it will only say hello and nothing will happen. So in the parent class, we have the destroying part of the pickup, and in the child blueprint, we have the specifics. So that's why in the pumpkin, what I'm doing, as you see, is the same code. But here, I'm telling a class that I'm picking up a pumpkin. Because the pumpkins are the main way of destroying the leech, as you see in this cool GIF that I created here. This is something that affects the state of the game. A game can have many states, it really depends on the game, but the most common ones are initializing, are starting the game, are during the game is in progress, and if the game ends. And when the game ends, you can lose, you can win, you can draw, whatever it is, but the game ends. This is what I mean by the state of the game changing. We're changing from playing to ending the game, to losing the game, to winning the game. And if you follow the gameplay framework that Epic gave us, whenever you have this type of changes, or you want rules that enforce the game, the rules of the game, you will be needing to use the gameplay framework. And in this case, the gameplay framework dictates that you use the game mode. which actually is a very cool way of handling all the game stuff and the overall game. It makes it really easy whenever you share your project that, oh, I want to see what happens, how do I make the game end. You will probably look first in the game mode. If you don't find it, then you will know that this person does not have that much experience. So my game mode will be the one that dictates the rules of the game. Not only it dictates, and I will open the game mode now. Usually I call it GM from game mode, and it will have the name of the project if there is no more than one game mode. So here I can define not only the rules of the game, which are here, very simple rules. I can define the base, the default classes that my game will be using. For example, every player, whenever it starts, it will start as a first-person character, and I can choose whatever character I want. And also, it will use this HUD class, and if I had more specific classes, I will put it here. So, you can also define if the game can be paused, if the players start as spectators, and so on and so forth. And my face, I believe it's... Okay, so in this part, I just hide my face so you can see whatever I'm talking about in the details panel. Okay, so this is where you define which classes to use, and also here the code of the rules of the game. Usually you will have these actual states of the game, like start game, win game, on player death, lose game. And where's lose game actually? Oh, here it is, lose game. So whenever my pumpkin is picked up, what I'm going to do is get the game mode, cast it to my gameplay game mode, which is being used by my game, and inside of it I created a function called picked up a pumpkin, and I can see it here, game mode. Here's a function, picked up a pumpkin. Now, why didn't I use an event versus a function? The main difference between events and functions is that whenever you're calling a function, you are guaranteed that all the code that is inside it will run in the same frame. In events, that's not the case. And also because inside the function, you can get the result of it in the same frame, you can also ask the function for output events. For example, if I needed to know, did you win? Then I can compile this, and in my pumpkin, now my function has a output pin. I really didn't need that for this function, but I just wanted to have that flexibility. In the events, you do not have output pins, but you can create latent nodes. For example, a delay node. This will mean that this part will run, it will wait 1 second and then run the output. Now this delayed node, if I just copy and paste it to my function, it does not work, and it shows why here. And if I try to add it, I won't be able to find it. This is an audio stuff, so it's not the delay that I'm looking for. So you cannot add delayed nodes inside a function. The way you can go around it is just use timers. The timers have their own way of processing time. So you can even stop the ticking in this blueprint and the timer will still work. Okay, so what does my picked up a pumpkin function do? We just add the number of pumpkins picked up. It's just I can double click it, and this is the thing that it does. Gets the value, adds it 1, and save the game. Pretty simple. So this just adds 1 to my number of pumpkins picked up, which starts at 0. Then we just compare, is the number of pumpkins picked up equal, well, greater. I put greater just in case of bugs. If I picked up 5 pumpkins and my limit was 4, I still wanted to win, so just in case. But this could have been equal. Usually I don't recommend it because, well, depends. If you want to catch a bug, and then for sure do equal. Here. Equal. And here is the equal. But in my case, I didn't want to worry too much about it. We just need the number of pumpkins to be greater or equal than the target pumpkins, which right now is 1. If this is true, we win the game. Very simple stuff. Now, I did not want to modify the game mode too much, because maybe in one level you can have 4 pumpkins, and in another level you can have 5 or 7, right? And you don't really want to create a new game mode just to modify one value. The way I got around that is that whenever we start the game, I added a little delay just to make sure that all the classes have been created. Whenever we press play on this map, on any map that is using this game mode, we are waiting this little moment, brief moment, and we start the game. Whenever we start the game, we get all the pumpkins inside the level. We get how many pumpkins there are in the level, and then we set up the target pumpkins. So right now it says 1, but when I press play, because there are 3 pumpkins here, it will change to 3. So it's a very easy way, so you don't need to modify that value every time you want to have more pumpkins or less pumpkins in your level. And after that, I'm binding this event that for now, let's not touch it. This is enough for now. And that's pretty much how I implemented that mechanic. Oh, I need to show. Okay, so whenever we win, remember we have this function that is being called from the pumpkin. The pumpkin is picked up. We call this, we add 1, we compare, and if it is greater or equal, we win the game. In winning the game, I'm just calling an event dispatcher called onWin game. I create a delay, and then I just create the widget of the end game, which is the same for losing or winning. I just put thanks for playing. I add it to the viewport, and I remove the UI controls. That this part that we already saw it in the first part of the stream, whenever I was showing the main menu level, right? So this part is the same. I'm just triggering this onWin game, and you will be asking yourself, now how is it linked to my monster destroying itself? In the monster, which should be called Lich something, what I did I do something? Is this not? This is not the one that I created. It was Boss Lich. This is the one that I created. Okay, so in my Boss Lich, let's ignore this part. And whenever the game starts, I'm getting the game mode and binding the event onWin game. This bind makes it so whenever I'm triggering this event dispatcher, that I can create very easily by just clicking the plus button here, whenever this is called, which you can call just by dragging and dropping, and here call, it's the same thing here. Whenever this is called, if any other actor is binded to it, is listening to this event dispatcher, then which I'm binding it here, and an event or function needs to be binded to that. So I'm creating an event which is called onWinGame event, which is this one. I could also just connect it like this. It's the same thing, but this just removes that long node, right? So it's a little bit more easier to understand. So whenever that onWinGame is called, this event is also called. And here I'm just killing the character. And this kill character does not exist, right? Only exists in the component that I created, which is a character info component. Let's not get too much into that right now. But here I'm just telling it, kill this character, and that's it. So that's why it works. Because whenever we win the game, we call the onWinAgame, and if any other actor was listening to this event when it's dispatched, so that's why it's called event dispatchers, then the boss in this case is killed. That's the main functionality that I created. That is the way that it is working. So now I will look back at the questions and see how, if I escape some. Okay, so live uploaded bit as well that I already answered. Show the gameplay. I already showed the gameplay. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I'm at work, but I'll definitely follow the whole video after it gets uploaded to YouTube. Perfect. It's always good to go at your own pace. Why don't you stream this on Twitch? What I understood is that Twitch is, I believe it's dying a little bit, and I would need to set up the re-stream so we can stream like here and also on Twitch. I will look into it. Maybe for some people it is more comfortable using Twitch. So yeah, I'll look into it. How long have you been doing game development? Right, I started with UDK, which was Unreal Engine 3, kind of. So that was a little bit ago, maybe 2014, 13, almost 10 years, I believe. Will you show how to have the screen slowly turn red from damage? Yes, I'll show it whenever I'm talking about the zombies. You're a legend, please never stop doing this. I'll try to not stop. What do you think about Unity? Unity have their uses? I mean, it's not that I dislike Unity, I just feel a lot more comfortable with Unreal. That's pretty much it, my preference. Now, with Unreal 5 and all the things that are coming, I don't see why you would not want to use Unreal, but it's up to you. I won't force you, even though I will try to convince you because Unreal is pretty cool, but at the end it's your decision. Also, the main difference between Unity and Unreal, this point, like, it's very hard to ignore. Unreal is made by Epic. Epic makes games. Epic makes Fortnite. Epic has been making a lot of games over the years, so whatever they need, they encounter, they implement, and they give it to us for free. For free. Unity is not a game developer, so it really needs to rely on third-party needs, on third-party opinions. So yeah, that's why sometimes the updates that Unreal gives us are very useful in comparison to Unity, which sometimes it seems like they are looking at Unreal and, oh, we should have that, and then they add it. So that's my opinion. You can use whatever you like. For mobile, for sure, use Unity. There are a lot more stuff there for mobile developers. But updates are coming, so yeah, Unreal should catch up soon enough. How long? No, I already read that. He thinks Unreal Engine is better. Yes, I do think that. It's my own opinion, does not reflect UNF Games, but probably everyone at UNF Games thinks the same. I'm following this tutorial, great learning and fun so far. Yes, I mean, it's not like our usual tutorials where I go step by step. Oh, let's create this. I will hold your hand. If you have any troubles, let me know. And it's more of an overview, like how I did it. If you have a little bit more experience, you will be able to get it faster. If you have not seen this event dispatcher, which is a type of blueprint communication, for sure we have a video on it. I should be able to link it if I found it. And if another one of the team is there, could help me. Blueprint communication. But still, I'm trying to touch on some simple stuff, even if it is part of the UI or something like that, just to cover all bases, right? I cannot spend too much time on basic stuff. And here it is, the blueprint communication training video with it. And I cannot type for some reason. There it is. So yeah, stash able to create. I'm blown away by where hidden gem hides. I'll try to give more hidden gems. Muy interesante. Thanks. Hopefully I can do also this stream for the Spanish channel, so we can cover all bases. Might a bit of a dumb question, but how do I create a blueprint? I am at the pumpkin section. Did I show how you create a blueprint? I believe I didn't. Here, anywhere, right click, blueprint class, it's created. You will need to define a base class, and Unreal already gives us this and well, all these classes. If you don't want to scare yourself at the start, you can hide the old classes. And as I was saying, if you need something that you can put in your level, is an actor. If you need an actor that can receive input, is a pawn. If you need a pawn that can have the movement of a biped or just a normal character. These other classes, I will cover them, I believe, later. Well, the game mode, I already covered it, is where you define the rules of the game and also the starting classes that you will have. And components, scene components are very useful for blueprints, and I will cover this in a minute. Player controller, I believe I didn't touch on it that much. It's just remember that a pawn can receive inputs. Yeah, they receive it from the player controller. So the player controller is the one that checks, like, oh, you move the mouse, this is the input, and it sends the input or the action to whatever class you are controlling or possessing. So the way the gameplay framework works is that you will have a character. Let's say my character is this zombie. You have your keyboard, right? I press WSD, but my zombie is not getting that information. The class that is getting the information is the player controller, but the player controller needs to know where to send it. So we need to attach it to a character or to a pawn. That attachment is called possessing. So when you possess a character, in this case this first person character, if I move the mouse, I get the input. If I unpossess it, which here I have a button for detaching, now my character is no longer possessed and my inputs are no longer going to that character. So that's pretty much how the gameplay works. And well, that's how you create a blueprint also. Next question, I released indie game made in UE4 on Steam. It's called La Moneda. Please wishlist it. I would need to see it before I wishlist it. For sure, if you have videos, please share them in our Discord channel. There is a show off section in the Discord, and let people do their own thing. If they want to wishlist for sure. But if you don't, if you feel like it's not that standard, then for sure leave feedback. Feedback is always useful. Good feedback is not just, oh, look, your game looks terrible. No, it's like, oh, your lights are too high, too strong. Whatever you didn't like, you put that. But it's not just a general stuff. Boom chagalaka. Nice question. Thomas Marine. Love your videos, mate. Helped me a lot in my journey to learn how to develop game. Keep up the hard work. Thanks for the nice wishes. Okay, so that's the questions thus far. Let's continue with the breakdown of the game, which right now we are at an hour. So let me drink a little bit of water. Okay, so the next part, and I'll show my face just for that part. The next part is, what did I add? Yeah, okay. These three functionalities. First was the menu. Like I said, it's something that if you're in a game jam, you can add. It doesn't matter if your team doesn't decide. You can still add it. You for sure will need it. Or if you're in a game development process of your own game, then for sure you will need UI. If you don't know how to start, you can start there. So menus for losing and menus for the main menu. Then I added the zombies, and then I added the ability to shoot the zombies. So let's add the zombies first. And by add, I mean, and I'll hide my face now. By adding, I mean the creation of the AI character. So how do you add a character? Let's start with the basics. Right click, blueprint class, character. A character is a type of pawn that will already come with some components. These are the capsule component, which in the details panel you can modify the height, you can modify the radius. And let me close the other stuff so we don't have too much clutter on top. You have that capsule component. You also have an arrow component which shows you which is the front. So whenever we tell our character to move forward, then this is where my character will move. We have a mesh, which is a skeletal mesh. We can set it up in the details panel. And I have a, what? I have a ship here? What's that? Let's just select the, no, it was not the ghoul. It was the zombie. And we would need to position it, rotate it to look to the front. And there we have it, right? We have a character class. It would be a good idea to make this character match with this collision. Otherwise, if I drag my new character to my map, you will see that it's floating around. And even if I just put it like this and I'll just simulate, it will fall and it will still be floating around. Now, you don't need to be really that precise. I believe I was not that precise with this. See, it is floating around, but you can't really tell that it's floating around. If you want to be precise, for sure you can do it, but I prefer to leave it a bit of space. Otherwise, you can find that your map is a little bit, if your map is not flat, then it's really easy to have this problem where your capsule is too is too precise. And then, oh, and you can snap stuff to the level. If you click on it and it has a collision, you press the end key and it is snapped to the map. So now I have this issue of overlapping. So that's why I just leave a little bit of room. Just like this. If you want to be more precise, I mean, you can click here, left view, and then mess around the actual height. Like that, more than enough. And the height, that's is good for me. And now we go back to perspective. Here you find the hotkeys if you want to use them. Alt J. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. We have our character. This character, hi to some VFX graphics. I'm doing just fine. Hopefully you guys are, and girls are also doing fine. So now we have the character created. How can I make it move? The benefits of using the character class is that it already comes with the character movement component. This component will be in charge of moving the zombie. This zombie will have, we can modify the gravity, the max acceleration, the jump C velocity, etc. This character can also jump, swim, etc. It may not have the animations for it, but you can do it. Now, I will delete the simple character that I create, and I will open the actual zombie. In this character movement component, if I want my zombie to be faster, I can increase the max walk speed, maybe to 600. And now when I'm playing, the zombies, why am I lagging? The zombies are a lot faster and it does not match the animation. I could tweak around the acceleration, but the max walk speed as 88 was fine for me. Why is it not working? Okay, I'll set it up 80. Compile, save. And now we have slow zombies again. Now, this part, we do need some animation, right? Because otherwise, I'll just remove the animation. We will have something like this. And it's not that menacing. I mean, it's a little bit menacing. So we need a way for our zombies to move. This is through an animation blueprint. I believe my mic should be here. Okay. An animation blueprint can be created by just right-clicking, and I will open my character again, this one. Right-clicking, animation blueprint, where is it? And selecting your skeleton. I did try to make this project with the template, which is a new thing that you can do in Unreal Engine 5. Didn't work for me. I wasn't able to override the animations because every time I added a new one, it was overridden for all of them. So it didn't work as expected. I don't know when they will fix it. Hopefully 5.1, which should be out very soon. And here you need to select the skeleton of this of this character, right? How do I know which one it is? You can select the skeletal mesh, open it by double clicking here, and here you will see the animations of that character that if you're using a marketplace asset, you already have them. And you will also see physics asset if you want to ragdoll this monster. And the first one is the skeleton. The skeleton have all the information about, well, the skeleton. This one is called zombie skeleton, so wherever I right click animation and animation blueprint, this skeleton should have the same name. Zombie zombie skeleton. Create. I will double click it, and now you have the animation graph. If you have never used the animation blueprint, again, we also have, where is another video of ours that, I'll be honest, it's a little bit outdated because we did it for the early access version of Unreal 5, and who would know that the release and the 5.1 will bring so much changes, but it's still using the basics. Animation blueprint video we did. Right, so there you have, if you want to dive deeper to the animation blueprint. But in simple terms, the animation blueprints tell us, or well, tell the character which animation it should do. First one, in the anim graph, we choose the animations. For example, if I want this to be in idle, I will just drag and drop the idle animation here, connect it, compile it, and now it shows an idle animation. If I wanted to use it in my blueprint, and let me close the skeleton, physics asset, and the skeletal mesh. In my blueprint, which is my new blueprint, I click on the mesh, I go to animation category, and here in animation mode, I will select animation blueprint. And I will select my new animation blueprint, which should be very simple to search. And now we have the animation that our blueprint is telling us to run. Now, we don't always want to be in idle. We want to walk around, right? So how would we do something like that? We have a walk animation, we have these two. And now if I compile, we now have the walk animation. Now, I could create a switch between them. For example, I will blend poses by bool. And I'll just right click, promote to variable, action value. I won't worry too much about it. So now we're blending the poses by a boolean, which means here, this part of the animation blueprint editor, we have the asset browser, which is our animations, and here we have a preview of the values, and we can also edit the defaults. Right now, I'll use the preview, and if the action value is true, well, it's playing the true pose. If it's false, it's playing the false pose, which is the animation idle. Now, I can test it in my blueprint, but this does not reflect the actual state of my character, right? So, if we needed to have this value changed, we do need to use the event graph. In the event graph, we can get the information of our blueprint and update it almost every frame. It's really not every frame, but almost every frame. here I can get the owner of this blueprint, which will be my zombie, my new blueprint. And I can ask if it is valid. Sometimes it's not valid. And after getting this is a bound object. I could ask the velocity. Get velocity. Now, if this is 0, then for sure we want the idle to happen. If it is not 0, if it is greater than 0, then we want the walk to happen. So this active value, I will rename it to, I will rename it to should walk. And now here, if the velocity is greater than 0, no greater from what? Okay, so there is no way to see. I just forgot. The velocity are 3 values because it's the direction and it's also the magnitude. So how fast are we going and in which direction? So if we're 100 in x, we are moving in 100 units in that direction. So I need to just get the values of the magnitude of how much is it. So you just get the length. And I don't want to, I mean, if someone wants me to explain that vector math, I can do it, but it's not that really needed. So I get the vector. If the vector is greater than 0, for sure it's moving. So I'll set the should walk to the value that this gives me. So that would be a way to make our zombie move. I'll try to implement it very fast. At the begin play, I'll add movement input in the X direction. And now I will put my new blueprint here. And I'll simulate it. Will this work? Of course, it's not working. It's in the begin play. I wanted this to happen in the peak. So I'll just do a delay here. I just want to show off what we just did. 1 second. I'll create a variable, a boolean. I'll set this to false. It will start as true, and this will work just as a case, just so. Okay, so when this is true, I'm adding a movement in the X world direction, and after 1 second, this will be false. So whenever I should save everything and compile, it will move 1 second and then it stops. So it is working. But you will see that the movement is like it's not that good actually. So this is a very simple setup. The way that I set it up for the zombie class, I'll just open the animation blueprint of the zombie, is through state machines. And a state machine is a way that you can have different states and have them interact depending on which conditions that you have created, right? So if I wanted to create a state machine for this little example, it's just a right click, state machine, add new state machine, and I'll give it a name, I don't know, locomotion. And here I'll double click, create an state. This will be idle and this will be walking. Inside that state, let's double click it, idle. You can add this like this, and in the walk you can add the walk like this, and you can go around with these breadcrumbs or with these arrows, right? So now we need to tell a way of, because if I compile it will show me a little error if I'm using the locomotion instead of the blends. And it says that the idle to walk will never be taken because nothing is connected in the ender transition. So here, instead of doing the condition like this, we need a rule transition. Let's double click on the rule transition, and here I'll just put should walk. Get should walk and just connect it. When this is connected, then we can go between idle and walk. And we can test it out. Here, preview should walk is true. I'll set it up as false. We are not returning to idle because we also need to tell it that we can go from walk to idle. And again, this is should walk, but the not version. If you cannot walk, if you should not walk, then for sure go to idle. So we can easily define states and rules between those, and that's exactly what I did for this one. Now I only had the rule inside of it locomotion, and then death. We have the enumerator here, death, and it dies. And inside locomotion I have a blend space, which is just a way of blending two different animations. This is done so the actual movement is not that harsh. Here, if you see, it's very harsh when you start and when you stop. So in order to avoid this, I created a blend space, which is very easy to create. Oh, it seems we got spammed. Okay, very simple to create. I'll just create a new one. Where am I creating everything actually? Animation, blend space, one dimension, it's very simple, zombie skeleton. Double click it. We have the anim idle and the anim walk, and we can blend between them by holding control to move it around. Now you will need to define like the movement. For example, this axis will be called speed. Oh, and here is the name. And you will also need to define these values. I'm sending the value directly, so this could be, I don't know, 400, but depending on what value do you choose, you will see that the animations could or could not match. If they're not matching, for example, if your feet are moving faster than what your movement is doing, or if your movement is moving slower, then a cool new tool that Unreal gives us whenever we're working with blend space, so we can make it match with the actual movement, is this, the analysis. Now let me show you what I mean with not matching. New blueprint, I won't delay this, and the character movement I will put it as 300, max walk speed 300. If I just simulate, you will see that it is sliding around, and that's not what we want. How can I get the actual movement of these two? In which value should I put the actual animation? So let's analyze it with this tool. analysis horizontal axis function, we will call the locomotion one. We need to set up the axis. We only have one, and it's the speed. Bone socket, this will be the two bones of the feet, which are foot L, and the bone socket 2 is the foot R. The axis, character facing axis, is Y, and let's check it. It is Y. We can see the axis in this little gizmo. And character axis, it is C. So it is fine. We click here to analyze, and now it has given me the analysis that this should be in the 88 speed, and this should be in the 0 one. So in my speed, I'll just reduce it to 100. Now 88 works perfect, so that's why my zombie was moving 88 units. Where's my new blueprint? Character component, movement component, and here in the max walk speed I'll put 80. Compile, I'll test it, and now we should really not see that much of the sliding effect. And that's how we can make our animations match with the actual speed of the game. So that's the blend space. That's why I wanted to show it, because this is something that I don't remember if I show it in the previous video, but now we have it. This we already seen. This is done for the attacks. I will not show it right now. And in the event graph, I'm just, yeah, this is the code. In the update, seeing if the pawn is valid. If it is valid, I'm getting a component class called blueprint character component that I should really talk about now. And we are getting the state, and we are also getting the speed. This speed, we already did it previously. Very simple. Get pawn owner, get velocity, vector length, speed. But this is another secret sauce that I usually use whenever I'm developing stuff. When you have a AI agent that have states, it's a very good idea to create an enumerator that can hold those states. What's an enumerator? It's just a list, has values between 0 and 254 or 55. And you can create it very easily. Right click, blueprints. Is this it? Yeah, blueprints, enumeration. Inside this enum, you can define different values. Behind scenes, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. In programming, we usually start at 0. And in the asset, you can define, it's a good practice for the first one to be none. Then the first then the first state that we are defining, it will be my zombie could be in idle. My zombie can be patrolling. And my zombie can be attacking, or could be dead. We can start defining these states. So the actual enumerator that I created, which I will show now, I believe I call it enemy state because these states could be are being shared between the zombie and the leech. So I have idle, patrol, follow, attack, and death. These are the ones that I create, and these are the ones that I am using. And with this information, what I can do is save it on my character. Now, if you see my zombie, they are inheriting from an enemy class, and inside my enemy class, I really don't have that much information. The only thing that I added to this enemy class is this blueprint character info component. This is a component that I just created. To create a component, very simple, right click, blueprint class, actor component. A scene component is a scene that you can put on the on this upper part of the blueprint. It's a component that will have an X, Y, and Z value. An actor component is just a component that is processing information and very useful. So this one is an actor component. You click on an actor component and it's very similar to a blueprint. It has the event graph, begin play, and all the nodes that you can expect, but it does not have a component panel, because this is a component that you will be adding to a blueprint. A blueprint is just a collection of components. That's pretty much what a blueprint is. And in this component, what I'm setting up a health value, a maximum health, if it's invulnerable, and the state. So to set up that is very simple. You create a variable, health, you just put float, and you open its eye so the variable can be edited from outside of it. Now for the state, you just need to select your enumeration, and it was enemy state. And there you have it. Whenever you compile, you will be able to see and modify the default values of this stuff. But let's just not bore you with the implementation, because I already did it. So what does my character character info component has? And I will be closing the other stuff to avoid cluttering. Okay, so this one has these variables. Let's just not look at the nodes right now. We have the state, which is the enumeration that we created. We have the health, which I just set it up as 100, and the max health as 100. Why do I do this? Because if for some reason I wanted to increase the life or the health of a monster to or of a character to the highest value, I just need to compare with this. Invulnerable, if I don't want it to receive damage, which is how the main monster is invulnerable to stuff. And some event dispatchers, so we can do stuff when they change events. At the start, we bind the event from the owner, so whenever we take point damage, we are doing something with it. And the received damage is, and I'll just delete it. You can pause the video, now copy the code, return to the video. Now, what's inside the received damage? The received damage is getting this damage value, which is a float, but I am only using values that are whole, no decimals here. So I'm just using integers, and here I'm just truncating them and sending them to this function. This function is just checking that the character is not invulnerable. Here it is. Right now it's false. So if it is not invulnerable, then we change the health. We are reducing the actual health minus the damage received. We are setting a maximum value of 0 or whatever it passes here. So if this value is negative, then 0 is greater, so 0 is selected. If this value is greater, like for example, I don't know, 20, then 20 is greater than 0, so 20 is returned. It's the same of just doing like a clamp. But a clamp, like, you need a minimum and a maximum, but in this case, I only need a minimum. So there was no reason to use a clamp. I can do it with just the max value. Now, whenever we change the health, I'm asking if the health is less than 0, and if it is, then we change the enemy state to death. Now this change enemy state is also a function, and this function receives a new state, which is our enemy state, the enumeration that we created. and we check if it is dead. If it is not dead, then we change the state. What am I doing here? State. If it is different than dead, then true. Yeah. I did this because I didn't want to do stuff whenever the actual state was already death. So whenever you reach the death state, you really don't want to change it for anything else. So whenever, in my case, in this project, whenever the enemy was dead, it stayed dead forever until it's deleted, right? Because this is checking the previous state, it's not checking the new state. So if the previous state was death, then it won't enter here. But if it is whatever else, then we set up the previous state to the new state. And after that, we do a little switch node, which is, when you're working with enumerators, it's very simple to do. You have a switch, and we can define the stuff to happen depending on the value of the enumerator. Oh, now that if you see that my nodes are jumping around, and I should no, it's because I'm using a plugin here, edit plugins. It's called Blueprint Assist. So that's, if you see my nodes jumping around, is because of that. So now we change the enemy state. We check that the previous one was not death. We update the new state, and here we are doing stuff. We're just calling, if it's idle, we call on idle. Like you see, we are just calling different event dispatcher that we created here. We do that so later on in the enemies we can implement what happens when the patrol is called, and follow is called, and attack is called, etc. Why? Because zombies may be attacking different than another type of enemy, and they will die maybe different. I don't know. But this gives us a lot of space to work. Now, this is not a setup that, like, oh, this is how you do stuff. No, it's just like how I did this simple project. But it is very easy to add more states, to add more behavior, to more enemies. Now, there is a third function, which is the kill character, that, if you remember correctly, in the boss Lich, again, this menu is open with Control P. Here we have that whenever we win the game, we kill the character. We are getting the function from the blueprint, blueprint character info component, just like this. Kill. So this kill character is just changing the state to a death state. That's the only thing that it's doing. Now in the Lich, whenever the death state on death, which is being called here, call on death, whenever this is called, and you can create this node by going here, blueprint character info component, and you will have these nodes, these events here. Whenever you created the event dispatchers, we already seen how we create them very easily. Just click on the plus here. So whenever you have this in the component, you will have the events here. So I didn't add anything for the idle, so I could just click here, and whenever my character changes to an idle, I can do something. In the case of the Lich, whenever it's dying on death, what we are doing is set the actor location and rotation to look towards our I'm setting the actor location and rotation to a point near my character, because it used to happen that my enemy was too far away and my camera was stuck in a house or something like that. And I'm looking towards the player, changing the camera so it's looking towards my actual monster. You can see the camera here. This is making my monster, making my player camera use the camera of this monster. And this part already came with the marketplace asset, which you have a dynamic material, which you create at the start here. Create a dynamic material, save the reference, and when it's dying, you set the scalar parameter material, you play it, sequence, and you dissolve it, and you change the Fresnel exponent. Now, how is the curve set up? It's set up like this. This could be 0, should be 0 actually. 0 and 1, and here time is 2. You can modify it as you like. And for the Fresnel, oh man, it starts at 0.001, value 4, and here this one. I just copy and paste this part. It's already in the marketplace asset. In the undead pack, you go to maps, and there's already an example of that in the showcase undead. I'll just copy and paste the code. Even with this part, yeah. And after that, it seems that I have a little bit of code here, but stop moving immediately. And that's how the character dies. Now, why am I not destroying anything here? Because in the base enemy, did I put it in the base enemy? Oh, no, I didn't put it. Oh, I never destroy the boss because the game ends, right? That's why I never do it. But in the zombie, I can see what happens when it dies. On death, it's pretty much the same thing. I'm stopping any type of animation, any type of montage animation, because whenever the zombie attacks, it's playing a montage. I will talk about that in a minute. And I'm setting the movement mode to none, so they can't move around. Removing the collision, so we can go through them. And setting the lifespan, so in 3 seconds, this blueprint will get destroyed. And that's what I'm seeing here. It's dead. You can go around it, and after 3 seconds, because right now I'm colliding with this, now I'm not colliding with it. So pretty simple stuff. And yeah, that's the setup of the zombie. But if you want it to follow you, you do need to add a little bit of AI. A little bit. So the first thing here, if I remember correctly, is creating an AI controller for the enemy. Just like we could create a player controller that handles all the inputs for our player, the AI controller sends the orders to our enemy. And I believe I didn't add that much to this. I just created it and I couldn't have the time to add more logic. So I mean, you could add it, you could not, but right now, if you want to create an AI controller, blueprint class, all classes, AI controller, and there it is. Select it, and the only thing that I modified here, I believe, is nothing. I didn't modify anything. Yeah, it's completely blank. But in the enemy, in class defaults, I'm putting here AI control class. We are possessing this AI if it's placed in the world. What I should do is here is also placed in the world or spawned, because my game is spawning the enemy, so I could also just use spawn. But I'm probably going to use both. Now with that done, we can send information, or we can send actual orders to our enemies. So in the zombie, remember our character info component, we have these event dispatchers, and we can see that whenever we are in idle, what I'm doing is stopping the movement of my AI controller. Then I do a little delay, and if we are still in idle, I'm going to change my enemy state to patrol. Now when I'm patrolling, on patrol, what I'm doing is I'm using this node for AI, which is AI moved. We need to give it a pound, which is ourselves, and this is in the blueprint zombie. We can give it a destination, an actual location, X, Y, and Z, or target actor that can follow, but we're patrolling, so we just need a random point, get random reachable point in radius, and we give it the actor location and as an origin, and the patrol radius as a radius to find a point. Okay, so with this we have a point to go to a place. Just a minute. And this node has this clock because it will not run, I mean, it will not finish in the same frame, because this node is constantly sending the order to this blueprint to go to a certain destination. If our blueprint didn't have an AI controller, or if our blueprint didn't have a character movement component, then it won't move at all. So we set it as an overlap, we have an acceptance radius, and when it's successful, we will go back to idle. Now that is why whenever I'm not in the range of these zombies, they should start patrolling. And why are not? Why are why? Why stuff breaks? Nav data default path following idle zombie. It's weird that it's not triggering. Unless I messed it up whenever I was. Gameplay. I'll just force it to patrol at the start. Character info. Change. And I'll put it to patrol. Now does it work? Yeah, now they are patrolling. They move to a random point, they reach there, they stay in idle, and then they keep patrolling. Now let's go back to the zombie. I'll remove this. The patrol, did I miss anything here? Patrol. No, that's pretty much it. Now we need a way for them to attack me. And that was the next part, I believe. No, I'm still here in the zombies. Okay, so the zombies should have a radius so they can know if I'm near them or not. There are a lot of ways of doing this. Usually I would use the perception in the AI controller, but I didn't want to set up that stuff. Like, it was super easy to just create a vision collision, which is a sphere collision. This one, set it up, the radius, and set up the collision as a trigger, and then whenever our character steps on it. Here is the on component begin overlap. I'll check that it's the character, and then I'm calling find target. Find target thus clears the invalidate timer of the lose site. This is created whenever we have the begin overlap, find target, and we have the end overlap when the zombie should stop seeing the character. But I didn't want for the zombie to immediately lose the target, right? So here I'm making sure that we are losing the same character, our player character, and I'm creating a timer to lose the sight of that character, which is lost, and I create this as a variable after 1 second. And this is calling lose sight of target, and lose sight of target is just changing from the current state to an idle state. Why? Because whenever we find a target here, we are clearing this lose sight timer and also changing the state to follow. And whenever the state is changed to follow, let's click on the component, on follow, we are stopping the movement. We're stopping the movement of the AI, because if we were patrolling, we are currently under the, where is my patrol? Under the AI move to. So if I didn't stop it, then this will continue its movement until it's a success. And if it's a success, it changes our value to idle, and it's all a mess. But here, we are stopping the movement. We are starting following the player pawn. And if it's a success, then we enter an attack state. Now, again, I could have used a behavior trees, but the behavior was too simple just not to do it in blueprints. I could just avoid creating too much tasks or too much stuff around blackboards, behavior trees, nodes, tasks, services. So just kept it a lot more simple. Now, when we change to attack here in the character info component, we also have on attack, and this just does an attack. What's an attack? We'll look towards our target, and after doing that, we are playing an animation montage. An animation montage is an asset that could hold many animations. In my case, this attack montage is holding the animation attack 1 and is holding the animation attack 2. There are two labels, attack 1, attack 2. And well, I have this animation notified to enable some hitboxes that let's go step by step. So how do you create an animation montage if you have never done it? And where was I creating everything? Was it here? Here? Here. Here, I'm just animation montage. It will ask for a skeleton. The zombie skeleton is fine. Let's open the new montage. And the new montage is very simple. We do need to add animations here, so I could add the idle, and now it's showing an idle. But I added the two attacks, attack 1, attack 2. Because it's a montage, it will play both of those animations. We can chop up this montage using sections. And here are the montage sections. If you don't have it, for sure you can find it in Windows, montage sections. And you will see we only have a section, which is the default one. We can create more sections, right click, new montage section, and it's right click here on top whenever it says section. New montage section, section 2. And it usually snaps to between two animations. You can override it or make it snap also. Come on. Great. I can't move it. There it is. Great. So now I have two sections. If I'm playing this, I'm still playing both animations, but I can make it so we can here. The default is going to the section 2. I don't want that. Remove the link, and now I have the default section and the default section 2. If I want to preview the second section, I can preview immediately. If I wanted this to idle, for example, I wanted this attack and then 2 anim attacks and keep them idling. Here in the default, I'll select default section 2. Now whenever it plays, it's the same. And we can select again default section 2. And this will start looping. So we can control a lot of montages. A lot of new order of animations. In my case, I just have the tag. It has different names because in the zombie I'm playing this montage, and the starting section I'm randomizing between the attack 1 and the attack 2. So it's a little variation that adds a lot, because if you see a zombie only attacking with one hand, then it's more easy for you to avoid it, and it may break the actual immersion. So this plays a montage, it receives the mesh, which is this one, the skeletal mesh, and when it's completed, then what do I do here? We check the distance. If we are inside of the range to attack our player, then we attack again. If we are not in the range, then we check if we are inside the sphere radius of the collision, and depending if we are inside, we will start following, or if we are not, we'll go to idle. And in idle, we already know that we wait like 1 second and then we go to patrolling. Now, we have whenever this is interrupted and whenever a notify begins. Whenever a notify begins, I'm putting that the hitbox will be activated. These notifies are added in my animation montage, and it can be added for any type of animation sequence. Here are the notifies. The ones that I used is right click, add notify, and it was notify state and timed, no, montage notify window, which I can enlarge. So whenever this montage is triggered, I'm activating hitbox. Whenever it's out of it, I'm deactivating them. Here you can select an notify montage name, but I didn't, because I only have one type of montage animation. This could be like activate hitbox. But in my case, our zombie, I just want to know, oh, does the notify begins or does the notify ends? If it ends or the animation montage is interrupted for some reason, for example, the enemy died, then for sure I don't want to continue playing the attack montage. Then we remove the hitboxes and we change the value to idle. Now, what does this mean? The hitboxes, I have added them in the tick. In the tick, here in the sequence, I'm setting a text just to know the actual state, because that's only for debugging reasons. But what I am actually doing here is that when the hitbox damage is activated, I'm doing a sphere trace for objects, getting where the hand is and checking for the collisions with pawns. And then if it's true, then I'm checking that I only colliding with the actual player, and then I'm applying damage to that player. Zombie damage, I believe it was 20, yes. And this exact same code, I'm adding it, not only for the left hand, but also for the right hand. left hand, right hand. Again, I could have done like a little more fancy stuff to only activate the left hand when the left attack happened and the right hand when the right attack happened, but it didn't make much difference in my case if both hands were giving me collision. So this gives me collision, and after colliding with anything, what I do here, oh, I hope this does not crashes my engine. What I'm doing here is I just remove the hitbox damage activated. I believe it's going to crash. Oh, it didn't crash. And that's how we stop the hitbox damage. I'll make it start with check, and I'll draw the back for one frame, so we can see it in the map. Yeah, you can see the actual hitboxes that I put. And these are just sphere traces. I do not like to use components like sphere collisions for this type of collisions, because usually collision components are better suited to stationary stuff, like, oh, you need to go here and press this lever or press this pressure plate or go through the door, like stuff that doesn't move, then it works correctly. But whenever that component is moving around, I always get mixed results. Now when it hit me there, then it no longer shows the actual the hitbox is hidden, right? Now, that's pretty much it for this zombie, actually. And that's pretty much it also for the Lich. The Lich is even simpler because we're always following our character. On follow, oh, we don't even do this. No? How do we follow our character then? Oh, on the tick. We follow it on the tick. If it's not dead, we add an input vector towards the direction of our character, and then we just check if we are in the range. If we are out of the range, then we pop up in front of it. Get player pawn, get actor. This is how we calculate when we want to put this character in front of it. Trace by channel, so we know the actual floor, because otherwise the other map has elevations, and I was spawning this thinking that it was a plane. So yeah, we can. Where is the rule? If we are looking towards it and we go outside its range, we can see how it happens. But if we're not looking towards it, then it will pop up like a little jump scare. Then, if we get a good position, we just set the actor location and rotation, and we play the montage called emergence, that is this animation. Oh, and whenever you're working with montages, this I did forget to explain. The montages will have a default group. Right now is the default group. You can change the group here. The slots, you can create more. And in the animation blueprint, in the anim graph, you will need to add this slot. Like, it's very simple to add. Slot, a slot default, and you can change the default group if you had more. Very useful whenever you are doing, oh, I only want animations that affect the upper part of my character. Then you can create a slot called upper body and make stuff happen that way. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. We just make it appear in front of us. And we are always going towards a direction of our player. Now to add the firing, I just added the HUD, the crosshair. Where is, I'll just close everything and game mode. Yeah, okay, so the crosshair is part of the HUD. The HUD, you can create a HUD class here. Just click on plus and you have the HUD. You can put it anywhere you want. And inside my HUD class, I just created the HUD widget blueprint that we already know how to create. It's just right click, user interface, widget blueprint, and the HUD only has the crosshair here. Because I want my crosshair to always be in the middle, here I have an image and I have anchored it to the middle. If this was not anchored to the middle, maybe anchored here, whenever my let's say I'm working for a mobile game, then my viewport will be like this, then I'm losing it. So that's not what I wanted. So I'm anchoring it to the middle, and now it doesn't matter if it is mobile, it's still in the center. Pretty simple stuff. My HUD also have this radial gradient. And this radial gradient, if I remember correctly what I did, is a material. This material, it's very simple. It's one radial gradient. This radius just controls how this looks. If it's greater or if it is less, you can see the radial gradient. I'll just set it up as 1. We can change the center position. I didn't need to because the 0 was fine. I'm doing a 1 minus because otherwise this radial gradient, I'm just start previewing node. It's the other way around. And I'm going to, yeah, it's the other way around. So with the 1 minus, I'm inverting the colors. So we can, oh, this is the part that I will put as red. And that's pretty much it. Final color opacity, just make sure your material is in the material domain of user interface. And we will need translucency so we can make this part, black part, in the opacity. And I don't know, I don't remember why I put that there. This is pretty much it. Now it is white and black, so in the HUD I can tint it to whatever I liked it to be. Now I don't remember. I'll just create another image. Oh, and it's an image that is spread all over the screen. And I just anchor it to the whole screen, and then I put all the offsets to 0. So if I choose here my blur, no, how did I call it? Here. Now I can see the image. I can tint it to red, and there we have it. It's just a matter of changing the opacity. There it is. And now to change that opacity depending on the health of our player, I'll return it to 0. It's in the graph. In the tick, oh, I did it like this. Okay, it seems I did it like that. In the tick, I'm checking which is the current value, which is the target value, and we have an interpolation. This way I can get like very smooth transitions. In hindsight, I wouldn't do it in the tick. I would prefer to do an animation here and control that animation with this value, but well, it's already done like this. Now this target health alpha value is being changed. Let's find the reference because I don't remember, and finding all blueprints in the update health of the first person character. First person character, update health, it's just a function that it has inside it. We have a value, current health. We have a clamp because we can go over or under. And here, if the health is 0, we call on death. And we invalidate the regained health timer. And we update the HUD, current health, we give it the correct value. So in the first person character, which is the next part, shooting the weapon, I'm using the template one. Here we are attaching the rifle like exactly. Oh, in the normal one, way. In the normal example, the rifle, it's I should have it here. Where is it? First person maps. Don't save anything. If I press play, you need to pick up this, but I'm just forcing it to be picked up this way. We begin the game and we spawn the rifle, spawn it on top of our character so you can't see that it has been spawned, and after a little delay we set it up correctly. That's the only thing that I'm doing. Now I should really look before going to shooting the weapon. Oh, there are no more questions. Really wish I had a high NPC so I could do stuff like this, but I work for a Wall Street wannabe corporation that could give a monkey about its workspace. Keep fighting for your rights. Maybe eventually you can get to a high NPC. Hey, my PC is not that good either, and I'm good. Just give it a try, get started, can customize the editor so the performance is better. Yes, that's a good point. You can disable a lot of gameplay stuff, but what I would suggest you at first, if it's not running well, like just the default templates, is here in settings, you will have the engine scalability settings. Right now I'm on Epic. You can choose auto and it will test your system and select the settings that should be fine for your system. If you feel that it's not fine, then you can still, let's just go to low. You will see that the lighting will change considerably, and you can mess around with the resolution scale, more, less, whatever you need. And just check what do you need and what's making it run good enough for you. There are also more settings in the editor to disable lumen, but yeah, if you're disabling this stuff, might as well just use Unreal 4. It will be the same, and the transition is not that difficult. But yes, if you can start with Unreal 5, for sure, go for it. Starting is half of the battle. Right, so I'm going a little bit longer than I expected. To shoot, I just needed to add I don't understand why my child grouping won't call the parent function. Okay. Whenever you have this type of blueprint relationships, which is inheritance, where is my folder? I have this, I don't know, actor, and inside it I have a custom event. I'll now create, let me compile. I'll create a child blueprint, and I'm going to overwrite the AAA. Now, right now, it was called with this parent, but sometimes it isn't. Whenever you have this, and you run something here, we are only running the code inside this event. You are not calling the parent. To run the parent code, you just need to right click on the event and add call to parent function. And now you decide when to call the code that was inside the parent. And that's how you can decide when, and if you really want to, or if it's truly an override and I don't want any part of the code of the parent. Will you put record of the live in YouTube channel? Yes, this will stay as a YouTube live video. Now let's go back to our character and let's go back to the rifle. This is a very simple setup that I already did in one of the previous videos. We have, what's this? Okay, this blueprint rifle already comes with some code. What I did is just change this on fire projectile. This was before connected like this. I only created create event and select the one that already existed. Here it is. And I'm just doing, well, I'm playing the sound and I'm doing a montage play. This was already in the template. Montage play, so you can see the weapon firing. And the line trace is the thing that I add. Line trace, I need a starting point, which is the camera, and we get the camera location. And the endpoint, it will be in the same direction of that camera, but I multiply it to a range of the gun, and I will add it to the starting point. So we have a start and an end. I created a trace channel called gunshot. You can create that by going to the project settings. Well, edit project settings is also there. Collisions, and here trace channels, gunshot, block. Very simple stuff. Now using this trace channel, I'm ignoring the parent actor of this gun, so I'm not shooting myself. And that's pretty much it. Then you just need to know what did you hit. It was a blocking hit. Then I want to know the hit actor. I want to know the impact point location. And from the actor, I'm going to apply point damage. Here is the gun damage. That is a variable that I created in this class. Hit from direction, we will get a socket location and get a unit direction to this trace end. That way I know if I later on wanted to activate physics, so the zombies fly around in the direction that is hit, then I can use this apply point damage hit direction. Then I need to send a hit info, which was this same hit info in the line trace by channel, and we're golden. We have some emitter at the location, which is these explosions that come with the where is it, at feature or content pack. Here's content. Starter content has a lot of materials and one explosion particle effect, and we changed the scale because it was too big. And that's pretty much it. That's what happens when I shoot my gun. Let's just put for duration, and I press play and I shoot my gun, and we can see the line traces that I'm doing. And without the line trace, I can see the little explosions that happen. That's pretty much it for my gun. Here we are applying damage, and in my enemies, remember that in the component at the start, begin play, we are binding that on take point damage, and this is making it receive the damage that we are sending through our gun. That's pretty much it. So now that we have the menus, we have zombies that follow us, and then we can shoot them, and whenever they die, we already have seen how they die. We needed to add the main monster, the Lich, which again I already have shown you how it's working. Let's press no cut. What I didn't show was that, where is the loose game? Here. Whenever we collide with the capsule component, which this capsule component right now is custom, is a type of pawn, is ignoring everything except an overlap to the pawn, so we can overlap the player. So whenever we overlap the player, we check that is the player, we disable the movement of this character, and we play the montage of win, which is this one, which each has the anim call, it's called. And after that, while that is playing, we are setting the control rotation to look at the player, and we are telling our game mode that we are losing the game. And losing the game makes our player not move around and show the end game widget. We add it to a viewport, and that's what we can see here. And this is not my test map. Let's just open test map. I'll play from here. Just go here. And now, whoop, I'm dead. Exactly what we told it to happen. Positioning stuff on the map will be putting the pumpkins on the map, and now I can show you the map again, the super cool map. Level 01. And it's just a matter of positioning these pickups. This is the pumpkin pickup, this is another one, this is another one, another one, and it won't matter how many pumpkins that I place because my game mode already knows how many pumpkins should I collect. Then playtesting the mechanics, we already know, we already can shoot around, we can take damage, we can die, we can get followed. And then I just added some polishment. Polishing, for example, at this first part, the zombies attacked me, there was no feedback. Yeah, only the screen got a little bit red, but like I was not feeling it, right? So in game development, you always want to know the purpose of the mechanic. If you need to receive damage, then we need to play around so the realization of that taking damage makes sense and feels like we are taking damage. So what I did here is add a camera shake to whenever I got hit. And those are little details that go a long way whenever you are developing games. So they are very important, actually. These are the little details that make your game feel like a AAA type of game, because you are really taking care of the player experience. Right. So how did I did this? Very simple. You create where is it? It was in miscellaneous, I believe, or was it in blueprints? Blueprints, and it should camera shake. Here we have a camera shake source component. This is not the one that I need. Camera shake base. If you double click it here in the details, if you don't have it, you can click on class defaults. We have a root shake pattern. I just chose the Perlin noise, and here you can play around with the location, amplitude, frequency, multiplier, etc. I'll just show you my settings, and it's Perlin noise, location amplitude multiplier 10, frequency 5, and then in X amplitude 0, and the other ones 1, 1, 1, 1, duration 0.3, blending time 0.05, and blend down time 0.1. Now you have this asset. How do you use it? Whenever you get hit, and I got hit in the first person character. Where is the damage? Here, event any damage. That you, every actor comes with this. Any damage, point damage, radius damage, radial damage. Any damage works with whatever damage you received. Otherwise, if you're only expecting point damage, you can put on point damage. Here it is, point damage. But this is not what I need. I only need any damage. This is called just in case. I really don't have a parent class for this. The parent is the actual character. And here is the damage. Damage, we truncate it. We remove the current health minus the damage that we received. We update the health. This will let us know if the character dies or not. And then we have a timer to regain health. We are regaining health every 1 second. So every second we regain health. We have the function regain health that just adds 5 health every second. And if we get to the max, then we remove the timer. Again, very simple stuff. I just put it on a function just so it's easier to call it. And then we are play word camera shake. Yeah. Now, this is a fast way to call a camera shake. Play word camera shake. You just put the camera shake and the radius of the actual camera shake. And this is done every time I receive damage, so it works just fine. What I usually would do is create here a camera shake source as a component, and here we have the same values, but we can select a camera shake like this. Then to use it, camera shake, was it play or start? Start. And this will start the camera shake that you have set it up inside this component. If you need to change the camera shake, then for sure you can do start camera shake and it will ask you a new class. But if you won't, then you can start, and I believe you can stop also. Stop all camera shakes, stops all camera shakes of type. And it will stop all the camera shakes that is happening in this component. It's not at the world type of thing. So here, if you add a world camera shake that won't end, like it's infinite, that you can add here per camera hit. If you duration, it says 0 or less means infinite. This sometimes works, this sometimes doesn't. So usually what I do if I want an infinite stuff, then I just put a large value and that's more than enough. But if you do that way, then making it stop, it's a lot harder. In my case is one and done. So it's a one-off. And let's see if something else that I'm missing in this GIFs, in this Spanish presentation that I'm not giving right now. I only wanted this screenshot. And well, then it's just a matter of playtesting, seeing if everything is working correctly, fixing bugs, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the development of this game. I will read the questions and see if there's something that I forgot. Awesome info. Yeah, I'm really glad that you're liking it. Okay. Will you put the I already read that. You should do videos every weekend. You're really good at explanation stuff. We'll see. It's a longer type of video. I believe I'm like 2 hours and a half in. I just wanted to keep it like an hour and a half, so right now I'm dying of hunger. Well put. How did you like the advanced spawning system? Is it worth using? That's a great question. I didn't really like it at first because I had to for sure open its documentation, the little documentation that it had. But what it was really helpful was the demo content. Maps example. Let's not save anything. This one. And you press play. You see all the things spawning. You see that nothing is there, but as you come closer, stuff starts popping around, which was very nice. I mean, I don't really know how much optimized it is. It feels like it's like doing a good optimization. What I didn't really like was the way you position these zones, because it's using an array of locations, which means that okay, I can position this here, here, but it also means that if for whatever reason I need to move this AI spawner, everything moves with it, which can be an added bonus, can be a nuisance, really depends on how you look at it. And also if I rotate stuff, this type of behavior happens, where you have rotated and some stuff are added or not. This is because you're only taking in consideration relative positions inside the blueprint. It's what usually happens when you are using that exposed vector array. But it's really not that big of a deal, right? Why? Because, I mean, if you need to move this because, oh, I wanted to make it more clickable, you're better off just searching for it in the outliner, like, oh, spawner, boom, have it here. Or you can create a bookmark like, this is where my spawner is. Let's create a bookmark, which is just Ctrl+1. You will have it here, bookmarks, set bookmarks, Ctrl+1, Ctrl+0. Bookmark 1, then, oh, I forgot where I put my spawner. I press on the 1 key, and now I'm back to the bookmark location of my map, right? And I can do the same with the mouse, but it takes a little bit more time. Jump to bookmark 1. Here it is. After that, and after knowing how it's being used, you can draw box or spheres. I didn't know. No, yes, this is the draw box spawn location. Sometimes, why? What does this do? I don't know. Places to spawn. You can, well, you need to select where it's going to spawn. Usually will be a landscape. I don't actually know why they do it like that. Well, you need to select where do you want to spawn it. I want this landscape, okay? And the area type, very simple to define, actually. Sphere, box, and the box is using this box extent, so that's why it's not showing like it's a bigger place. And then the AI spawn settings, which spawns do you want to spawn, random seed. Yeah, after getting used to it, very useful. I really liked it. Really liked it. Only those little nuisances. And you can refresh stuff with this bot. And also, in your character, if you don't read the documentation, you do need to use this hide mode component, so you can the stuff can hide around whenever you are farther than them. And if you just edit it, you will find it's doing it through a timer, so it's not the tick, which was nice. It's very nice because it's not a tick. This close default, this could have started with tick enabled. False, shouldn't matter that much. But this removes, like, I mean, if you're already optimized, you might as well remove the tick enabled, remove it from the list of ticks. Again, a little nuisance, little stuff that they could have added, but overall, I would use it again if I need this type of spawning and I'm too lazy to do it myself. Next question. Currently learning Unreal. Do you need to memorize combination of nodes or other tricks, or can you just figure out stuff out if you know what everything does? I'm always searching nodes. There will be nodes that you are using constantly. You're using every day. If you are, I don't know, doing characters, you will see stuff for the inputs, adding movement inputs, addition, subtraction, and if you want to be a gameplay programmer for sure, or a VFX artist, for sure you need to look more into linear math, or it was algebraic math, whatever it has to do with vector operations. Like, oh, you have a vector, you want to get the magnitude, you want to get the direction. Not you don't need to memorize the formula, but you need to know the names. So I have a vector here. Let's just create a vector. I have a vector, and I want to know the direction of this vector. I mean, you can just call direction, but you will have a lot of stuff here. You want to know, like, oh no, the direction will be the unique direction, and this unique direction will be from a place, from a point to another point. This will return a unit vector, which is a vector that has a length of 1. So just stuff, clear stuff, no, basic stuff that makes like operations with vectors are very useful in order to create mechanics. Because if I wanted to, I want my player to have a bonus if, what happened? Oh, I deleted that. I want my player that if I'm attacking from the back, I want my damage to be 200%, then okay, you have one person looking to that side and another person looking also to that side. If they are looking towards each other, then I'm not looking at the backside of the other character. So it's just vector operations, like, oh, this one is looking here and this one is looking here. To compare directions, you have the dot product, and the dot product, if both of them are looking in the same direction, will be 1. If they're looking in different directions, like this, will be -1. And if it's looking to a side perpendicular, will be 0. Won't matter the direction. This will be 0. And whatever value it's between this is 0.7 maybe, between 0 and 1, and the other side is -0 and 1. So that's how you'd have 2 directions, and then you just do a dot product. This will be the other direction, and if this is in the positive, come on, it's this one. If it's, I don't know, more than 0.3, then, oh, you're attacking from the back, and that's it. Now, a good resource for the nodes is the documentation of Unreal, or just putting yourself a little challenges like, oh, I'm going to implement a hookshot. What do I need to know? And then start figuring stuff out. Also, it's a good idea to print the most common nodes. There are cheat sheets. If I search for it, I remember Unreal gave this in one of their events, which are the Unreal Engine hotkeys. And do I have only webcam? There it is. Unreal Engine hotkeys. And we have hotkeys for material creation. We have hotkeys for the level editor. And this is like a mousepad, but for the keys. So not only do you need the nodes, but you do also need learning the hotkeys will improve your speed when creating stuff. Like, oh, I need to create a branch. You just hold B and click, boom, branch. So yeah, you can figure it out. It's like using color for painting. If you know which color to place where to make painting look good, you can draw anything. Yep, pretty much it. More experience will eventually make the nodes stick to you, and whenever you are looking to do something, you can always type here like, oh, I need to transform something, transform, and maybe you want to search all the nodes. You just remove the context sensitive, and then you will have access to whatever the engine can offer. So that's another way that you can discover nodes, or just look in search on Google or DuckDuckGo. Like, Google is your friend. Sammy Oliveira asks, UNF Games, what do you think about making a racing game with challenging AI? I mean, the term challenging AI, it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to determine, okay, the AI is constantly cheating, right? The AI knows the map, the AI can react perfectly, so you need to add stuff to make it not so perfect. And that's the part that is hard. Like, what exactly can be challenging for some players, it's too hard or too easy for another. So creating that, it's more challenging than one thinks. Now, if you're talking about us making the AI for a game, for a racing game, like, there are a lot of ways to do it. The first one is through waypoints. Usually it's the most common one. Let's say that this is my map. You will have a waypoint here, 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 and if you have branching stuff, you can put the waypoint here, 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 and so on and so forth. And you will need to set up the direction like this, like this, like this, like that. Branch, connect again. And so on and so forth, right? So the target for the AI is to reach the next waypoint. Now, how it does it, how it turns, it depends on the actual implementation. You can make it drive perfectly. You can even cheat, actually, if the AI is falling too much behind. It's very common in racing games, what it's called rubber banding. Let's say that you are here and the AI is still this part, they gave it the stats like, oh, now you're driving perfectly until you're more near to the player. That way you're creating a challenge to the player. So as you see, making an AI challenging will probably means that your AI will be cheating around, and you need to be very careful, because otherwise the players notice like, oh no, this AI is getting perfect stats, getting perfect boosts, corners, whenever it's too far behind, and they will feel cheated. And you don't want that. You don't want your players to feel cheated. So yeah, that's usually the most common implementation. You can also make the AI react to whatever they are, which means that constantly the AI will need to be checking their surroundings. Like, okay, I am here. What's next? Like, okay, I'll ray trace. Like, should I go left? No, I cannot go left. Should I go right? Maybe. I'll increase my search. Oh no, I'm crashing here. Should I go forward? Oh, seems safe, so let's go forward. And that way, like, it's a little bit more of a human approach, so it really doesn't scale that well if you have too many AIs, but it should give you like a more human type of behavior that does stuff depending of their surroundings. Like, oh, I should keep going forward, and then I need to make a decision here. If I want to turn left, maybe, oh, I don't have the actual momentum, I'm going too fast, maybe, then I can't turn left, so I'll just go forward. It also helps to implement stuff that you already got working. That way I found that you learn how to make things more optimal. Yeah, and yeah, for the waypoints, splines are very useful. They are not that useful whenever you're having like branching stuff. Like, it gets a little bit more complicated, but you can get around it by creating false connections. So yeah, we have been going for almost 3 hours. It has been a very long stream. Hopefully you have enjoyed it, and the video will stay up after it gets processed, I believe. And yeah, that's pretty much for me. That's why I didn't want to do a whole tutorial video, because I implemented a lot of stuff that would take me a lot more than just 2 days to do, and I needed to get out of the country, so that's why I couldn't do it, and a lot of editing would need to be in place in order to keep it that short. Okay, so that would be it. Thanks everyone for coming to the stream. Thanks everyone for asking questions, keeping the stream going, making me aware if I just forget about something. And yeah, that will be it for today. Have a great day.